Imagine two aspiring actors, David and Michael. They graduate from the same acting school. They possess identical grades, equal talent, and the same relentless drive. They both audition for the exact same film. The director watches each of them for 30 seconds. David fits the industry's conventional standard of physical attractiveness. Michael does not. David wins the role. 10 years pass. David accumulates awards, major endorsements, and absolute confidence on camera. The public looks at his massive media footprint and retroactively decides he was simply destined for greatness. The math of David's career tells a different story. His massive success was not the result of superior natural talent. He simply entered his industry through a door that society made much harder for Michael to open. This mechanism is called Lookism. It is the societal tendency to distribute rewards, penalties, and opportunities based heavily on physical appearance rather than actual capability or character. We operate under the deeply held cultural assumption that our society is a meritocracy, a system where intelligence and hard work alone dictate how far you can climb. But Lookism operates as a quiet disruption to that system. Because it happens on a subconscious level, employers and teachers genuinely believe they are making objective decisions. Without realizing it, they are constantly weighing physical appearance against a stack of actual qualifications. Physical appearance functions as an unregulated socioeconomic currency, heavily tilting the scales of opportunity before anyone has a chance to prove their worth. To understand why we evaluate each other this way, we have to look at our evolutionary biology. Thousands of years ago, relying on split-second visual judgments was an immediate survival tool. Today, our brains are still running that ancient hardware. But instead of using it to detect threats in a dense forest, we misapply it as a cognitive shortcut in boardrooms and classrooms. Psychologists identify a specific glitch in this system, called the halo effect. When we process an attractive face, the brain takes a cognitive shortcut. It automatically assumes that person also possesses entirely unrelated positive traits, like high intelligence or deep honesty. The halo effect explains the internal psychology of our assumptions. Lookism is what happens when that internal bias ripples outward into the real world, creating concrete social and economic consequences. We are biologically primed to make irrational assumptions about strangers. An ancient survival tool now operates as a quiet engine for modern discrimination. And this bias extends far beyond facial beauty. Lookism penalizes people for their grooming choices, their body weight, visible disabilities, and even their height. Consider this chart tracking corporate managers and height bias. Taller individuals are disproportionately represented in senior leadership roles because evaluators unconsciously assign them stronger leadership qualities before they ever speak a word. The inverse occurs when someone falls outside standard physical norms. Whether due to body weight or a visible disability, evaluators routinely apply automatic deductions to a person's perceived professional competence, despite identical data points. Attractiveness is not a universal cheat code, however. In highly technical fields, exceptionally attractive people, particularly women, face what researchers call a beauty penalty, where they are aggressively stereotyped as less serious. This spectrum of bias creates a hidden caste system in the workplace. People are constantly evaluated on their physical geometry rather than their professional capacity. Sociologists, building on the work of thinkers like Pierre Bourdieu, view appearance as a form of symbolic capital. It acts as an unearned initial wealth that influences how people treat you long before your actual abilities are known. Look at this timeline tracking the Matthew effect. A tiny early advantage, like a teacher subtly offering more encouragement to a neatly dressed student, compounds exponentially over a 10-year span, creating a massive gap in career opportunities. It is like planting two identical seeds. One receives slightly more water simply because it looks a bit more promising. Over time, that constant extra attention guarantees it will flourish, while the other struggles in the shade. When we observe vast disparities in societal success, we are rarely looking at a pure reflection of unequal talent. We are looking at the compounding math of unequal treatment. For the individual on the wrong side of this math, the reality is an unfair baseline. A highly capable person who lacks conventional attractiveness must possess vastly superior qualifications just to receive the exact same entry-level opportunities. They have to generate better resumes, execute sharper interviews, and deliver relentless on-the-job performance, simply to reach the baseline level of respect instantly granted to their more attractive peers. This friction is intensifying. We now operate in a digital landscape dominated by Zoom grids and digital branding. Highly visual mediums force lightning-fast, appearance-based judgments on a massive scale. In a screen-first culture, Lookism acts as a merciless gatekeeper, actively destroying professional opportunities before a person ever gets the chance to speak. We cannot easily erase thousands of years of evolutionary brainwiring on an individual level, but institutions can build structural guardrails to bypass those biological flaws. Organizations neutralize this bias by adopting blind recruitment practices, standardizing their assessment criteria, and strictly structuring their interviews to evaluate objective data points rather than physical packaging. A true meritocracy only begins the moment we design systems that force us to stop judging the book by its cover and actually read the pages.